Folks, and welcome back to the plot. Two big changes straight away. Look, first thing, the jacket's back, my fleece line jacket. Oh, I love this. This is my absolute favourite, and the weather has properly changed because look, we've got the fuzzy mic out. That's how you know. The wind has really picked up, and I'm just so glad because that last week of weather, it was just so still and so humid. I've been working away on the polytunnel and it's been too much, but the tunnel is nearly finished, and today I'm finally, it feels like I'm taking off like a mask. I've just been looking around for a minute at the allotment and just the state of it, wow. It's like I can see it again, you know? So the main thing today, I've got hours and hours to just sort it out, you know? Like I want to have borders again. Do you remember when there were borders on these beds? Like some actual edges. Get rid of all the weeds, kind of get it ready for just even then starting to think about sowing. I have not sowed a seed in like a month, so probably going to go with a lot of green manure, a few overwintering veg, that kind of thing. But there are a few things that I wanted to mention before we get stuck in. And the first is about this beautiful little tomato, the black strawberry. Now I did a tomato review video and I said this was an absolutely gorgeous tomato that didn't taste very nice, and I think I owe it a bit of an apology. Now, I don't know if it's maybe my growing, but I took one out of the fridge the other day. We don't normally leave the tomatoes in the fridge. And I just had it kind of raw and it was amazing. It was really, really tasty. So I had one off the plant yesterday and once again, kind of mealy, kind of gross. I just took a little bite in this and you can see when you get this kind of crystallization, you know, those little white bits, that is a really mealy tomato. Now, I'm not sure if maybe just putting them in the fridge always helps with these or something like that. Or maybe I just had a good one off the plant and the rest have been kind of unlucky. I don't know. So I kind of take back what I said. I think it might either be my plants or my growing conditions. I know that lots of things can make mealy tomatoes. And maybe it's just one of those little idiosyncrasies. Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word. About this particular tomato. Maybe it likes being in the fridge. There's lots of weird quirks with each variety, you know, some make really good sauces. I mainly went off fresh eating. But yeah, just a little, you know, if you were maybe thinking about growing this and I put you off, then I apologise, give it a go, because it is gorgeous. The other thing is I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who's still watching. As we go into winter, the views on YouTube really start to tail off, the interest starts to tail off as a lot of people switch off from gardening. So if you're still watching my silly little videos, I can't believe it's happened. Do you know what I mean? That the channel is actually, it does as well as it does and so many people are interested. But yeah, a massive thank you if you're still watching, and especially to my Chili Pepper Tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Socks in the Garden, and Andrew. You are absolute stars. And before I came out today, I just went and bought some shears. And it's only a little thing, but I'm a very stingy person. We're not particularly flush, and if I don't need a tool, I won't buy it. You know, I'll go around the difficult way on my hands and knees with like a rusty old pair of shears that I found in the shed. And actually having stuff like this just makes my life so much easier. So thank you to, you know, just everyone who's supported the channel over the years. And the other thing that has allowed me to do is rebuild my computer. So I thought I'd mention this quickly, just in case anything goes wrong with my computer rebuild and the channel goes a little bit quiet for a while. Hopefully it will all go to plan, but just in case it goes quiet, that's why, because my PC is in dire need of replacement. I need more storage and all of that, and it's very, 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 very expensive, and I couldn't have done that without the patrons and the viewers, so thank you. Now let's get stuck in, and I'll do a very quick just showing you around, just in case you've forgotten how bad it's got. And actually, there's one other thing I need to show you, the plums. The plot is just shocking. This is probably the worst. There are still some crops in here. There's loads and loads of spring onions that look more like real onions. I was thinking, is there a way I could like pretend that they're actually onions that look healthy? But no. We've got loads of this radicchio coming up, looking really good. This one, in fact, might be ready to take. But yeah, you can see there used to be a grass path there. We've got all this kind of sorrel and stuff going to seed. There are still some leeks down here. This was a lot easier to all ignore when it was still flowering. And there were lots of calendula and stuff like that going. So yeah, pretty much every bed looks like this at the moment. Even the ones which are better, quote unquote better, like this, still need an awful lot of work. Look at those borders. Brassica bed I did in a video a little while ago, so that's not so bad. But Yeah, over here as well. It's just shocking. Those peas died back months ago. Just, well, it's not really lazy, you know, it looks like it's lazy, but I have just been really, really busy with this project, which has come on leaps and bounds. Still working on getting it all sorted and landscaped at the front with some slabs, but it is now tight. I've done the final tightening. The base rail is much lower, looks a lot more reasonable, and wait for it, that is pretty drum tight. Really, really pleased. These plums, are there any plum experts watching? Please, what is going on? So I noticed the trees had quite a lot of fruit on it, but it all went extremely moldy. And I wondered if it was maybe just like a botrytis, like a common garden mold that gets into your fruit. But I've since noticed that all of the trees are looking really, really sad. All of the leaves have got these kind of yellow spots, and one of the trees, this one kind of in the middle, is just completely devoid of leaves already. Not good at all. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know much about plums, but these do not look healthy. I don't know if you have any tips or advice, please do let me know. I'm wondering if this is the sort of thing that is a one-off, you know, and maybe next year they will, after they lose their leaves, it'll all come back and be fine. Or I don't know if this is like endemic now and this is in the plums. There are some trees just at the back on the neighbour's plot, and they don't look so bad. So yeah, any tips, let me know. Anyway, it's time for me to start. I finally shut up. So it's time to start things off. And this is just tidying. Before I mow, I always like to go around this little tip. Just imagine you're mowing. Is anything going to stop you mowing? Are you going to have to turn the mower off and then like move stuff and start it up again? It's just so stop-start. And then any really big areas I was just going through with the shears. That's why I got them, to kind of knock it back a bit so that the mower would just make a bit of a nicer job. Now this is always a tense moment for me. This mower that I've got is like a really old, ancient thing. I found it for like a few quid on Facebook Marketplace. And it started up okay. But you might notice there's quite a lot of blue smoke. And you're about to see the face of someone who's looking a little bit concerned. Look, look at the paper. Oh dear me. He's not happy. So there was just a quick, I had to kind of let the mower cool off for a little while, and I thought, okay, well, I'll get started while it's cooling off and sorting itself out. And you can see I'm just going through really rough, but now we're into the good stuff. So we'll put some music on and you can see the plot transform today. I've had to do things in a slightly funky order, but I am very pleased because the whole plot is now mown. It always takes so much longer than I expect, especially on a lot of bits of the new allotment where it's all just so lumpy and bumpy. So it's quite a lot of effort to kind of push the mower up the lumps and bumps, and I've sort of been going around with the spade a little bit and leveling bits off, so it makes it a little bit easier in the future. But now we are back to weeding, and that second bed wasn't too bad because that's where I've mulched with manure, and this one has had a mulch with manure, but it is just so completely and utterly overgrown. So I was hoping, to be honest, to have got a little bit more done so far. It's coming up to around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think I started around 10, so it's always just slower. You know, I thought by now I would have ripped through like all of the beds on this plot. But hey, you've just got to take the wins where you get them, don't you? And it does look just so much better after a bit of a mow and a haircut. Where I've really just been neglecting and almost forgetting about this plot deliberately. It's just nice to see crops growing outside of the greenhouse. Obviously the greenhouses are full of things and that's been lovely, but having a few things in the ground is nice too. Over here, there's even a lettuce. It's a bit small, but it still counts. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get this path done because that arch of Steve's is so blooming heavy. It definitely needs 2 people to move. But we're going to carry on trucking and do what we can. So, one down. God knows how many to go. But I just thought I'd show you this. I was feeling a bit, look at this snail on the lettuce. Get out of here. Yeah, I was just feeling, I don't know, a little bit, I felt like something. So I've just left a load of the greens to compost down on the beds. I still haven't decided 100% what I'm going to do with these for the rest of the season. But generally, I quite like green manure and covering things over. And if you've got a load of green material like here that's not full of weeds, why not just save yourself a job? Don't need to collect it up, just leave it on the bed to compost down, especially if you're going to cover it over, and it'll all work its way back into the soil. And I just love putting an edge on the bed. It's just one of the most satisfying things. Mine are never perfect, nothing's perfect. And you'll see, as I've been, I've just given it a rough hoe over, because like I say, if you're just doing green manure, it doesn't matter if there's a few weeds on there, you just scatter the green manure and it's going to get covered or sorted out in spring. Spring is when I like to do my full prep. But I am starting to think about sourcing some more manure or compost or that kind of thing to put on before winter to kind of work into the bed. But we can worry about that later. Today is just tidying. It's nice. So this is the next one. And from a distance, it looks much better in terms of weed coverage. And this one had a really good mulching with manure. Those other ones had a bit more of a sparse kind of going over with manure, but still good to work it in. But this one had a proper thick layer that was really prevented the weeds. I think, yeah, up close it does look a lot better than those other beds I was just working on. So this shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully, you guys can actually see how much better this looks. I might pick you up and show you a little bit closer, but this bed in particular has been so much nicer. It is still quite time consuming because you have to get in and kind of get on your hands and knees. When this is basically a transition to no dig, this one. But I've been really impressed. It did take a very thick layer of horse manure mulch, and those other two beds, not really as good. And those other two beds were much later in the season as well. So I think this was early, and that has really helped suppress the weeds. So I'm really pleased. A lot of the stuff, there's still, not perfect. There's still got a little bit of grass that I've missed. Oh wow, look at this. The couch grass just goes on and on. But yeah, really pleased. And this one looks so much neater and tidier. And there's still quite a few things in here that are doing just fine. We've got some squashes, probably the healthiest squashes I've seen on the plot as well. And this lovely verbena, which actually overwintered last year. So it'll be interesting to see if this does again. Let's just go for a little wander, shall we? So I can have a quick little show off and just show you what I've done. There's a big smile on my face. It's one of those things where my head's been down, and I've just been getting on with it. And I love to take this little moment, have a little wander and look around. This is what I mean about all the kind of material that's still on. There's little piles of stuff. You can go through and rake it out properly if you want to, but it's just going to break down there for a little while. I think it's fine. Got some spring onions to take home. They are, I don't know if they're still nice when they get this big. I had some a little while ago and they were still fine. Leeks, got a little bit more room to breathe now. I'm not sure, I might take, yeah, let's do it. Let's take that radicchio. I think sometimes you can, well, I'm no stranger to leaving things too long. You can see there, compared to my hand, it's not huge. I think it's quite a little dinky one, but Jessie was saying she loves this, Jessie at Plot 37. And she did give me a recipe that I just remember involved a lot of olive oil and parmesan. So we'll give that a go tonight. The compost is now absolutely brimming. Look at that. And I do really want to get this moved, but it's still polytunnel first. This is very nice, but I am still kind of mostly focused on the polytunnel. I think just generally, I'm always surprised how much of a difference a quick mow makes. Well, it wasn't quick today actually, but just looking around, everything looks so much better. I was hoping this was kind of the next big thing to tackle really, this little L-shaped bed, which is just completely swamped, and then a plant nursery, which is, there's nothing alive in here really. There's some very sad aubergines, a few little beetroot that's somehow still hanging on, and yeah, that mostly just needs composting, to be honest, but it's just looking good. It just looks good. You can still see I like to leave lots a little bit. We've got some teasels there, nice long bits of grass for all sorts of things like lizards, moths and butterfly caterpillars and that kind of thing. The apples, I've not really been harvesting properly this year. We've had like a bag or so, but I'm kind of gonna leave it to go kind of fallow. Most of that goodness is going to go back into the soil, and hopefully have a little bit of a better year next year. I do always trim this back and give it a good pruning, but it just wants to grow bigger and bigger, so I need to probably give it a bit more of a severe prune this year. It's all just looking so much cleaner, and you can see inside just where I've started to dig out the piles, or you can't because there's a chair in the way, but over here you can just about see. And yeah, the issue is the height of the doors and digging out enough ground so that I can then put in slabs or something like that. I kind of want slabs down the main walkway. I think it's just gonna make life as easy as possible. I want more and more slabs, to be honest, doing this mowing and all this little edging and that kind of stuff. I mean, I haven't edged any of this. That was also the plan today, but I have kind of run out of time. So it is looking nicer though. Oh, I've left the mower out. I should remember to put that away. There's a little mini bed of onions there. There's 1 or 2 to harvest. And you can see, like, this is where I've been building up loads and loads of soil. I've just started putting a few bits in the hot composter too. Whew. I had to open my mouth, didn't I, and say it was so cold today, and there was a lovely chill. It's been bloody warm. It's been, yeah, a lot more tiring than I was expecting, to be honest, and a lot less work done than I was expecting, but it's a win. It's always a win getting anything done, and it does just look so much better. So much better. I hope you've enjoyed this update, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.